O eternal and almighty God, from whom all power and wisdom come, we are assembled here before thee to frame such laws as may tend to the welfare and prosperity of our province. Grant, O merciful God, we pray thee, that we may desire only that which is in accordance with thy will, that we may seek it with wisdom, know it with certainty, and accomplish it perfectly, for the glory and honor of thy name, and for the welfare of all our people. Amen. We acknowledge we are gathered on Treaty 1 territory, and that Manitoba is located on the treaty territories and ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Anishinaabe, Dakota Oete, Dene, Sulene, and Neothorg nations. We acknowledge Manitoba is located on the homeland of the Red River Métis. We acknowledge northern Manitoba includes lands that were and are the ancestral lands of the Inuit. We respect the spirit and intent of treaties and treaty making and remain committed to working in partnership with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in a spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration. Please be seated. Routine proceedings, introduction of bills, committee reports. The Honourable Member for Steinbeck.
Honourable Speaker, I wish to present the 8th report of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts.
Your Standing Committee on Public Accounts.
Dispense. The Honourable Member for Steinbeck.
Honourable Speaker, I move, seconded by the Honourable Member for Elmwood, that the report of the committee be received.
Been moved by the Honourable Member for Steinbeck, seconded by the Honourable Member for Elmwood, that the report of the committee be received. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed, and so ordered. The motion is accordingly passed. No further tabling of reports. Yes, there is. I have a report to table. In accordance with Section 19 of the Legislative Building Centennial Restoration Preservation Act, I am pleased to table the Long-Term Restoration and Preservation Plan 2025-2026 to 2033-2034, which includes the current annual implementation plans for the fiscal years 2025-2026 to 2027-2028. Ministerial statements. The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. As the Minister for Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care, it is my absolute pleasure to proclaim Nurse Practitioner Week as November 10th to 16th, 2025. And yesterday was not only November 18th and Throne Speech Day, Honourable Speaker, it was Nurse Practitioner Day here in Manitoba. Nurse practitioners are highly skilled, licensed health professionals that are essential to our healthcare system. We're really grateful as a government to have built a strong relationship and partnership with nurse practitioners across Manitoba, and I'd like to thank the Nurse Practitioner Association of Manitoba in particular for working with our government to take important steps to strengthen healthcare across Manitoba. NPs are on the front lines in clinics, communities, providing a wide range of essential medical services to Manitobans, including primary care, chronic disease management, and urgent care in both urban and rural communities. The work they do contributes to improved wait times, improved access, reduced wait times, innovation of care and research, and enhanced continuity of care for Manitobans. We thank those NPs who have chosen this profession, and we remain committed to retaining them while also doing the work of training and recruiting more. In Budget 2025, we invested $600,000 to grow the provincial travel nurse team. This includes nurse practitioners. We've also invested over $48 million in new funding for the training of frontline healthcare staff, including support for 20 additional nurse practitioner training seats. And starting next year, Honourable Speaker, NPs will be able to specialize in key areas of healthcare. This is something they've been asking for many years, including in emergency medicine. We're bolstering primary care access around and across Manitoba, and have opened 6 new primary care clinics. All of these clinics are where nurse practitioners can provide high-quality primary care to Manitobans. And we permanently funded evenings and hours led nurse practitioner clinics. These clinics are the direct result of working with and listening to NPs across Manitoba. This expanded access to timely care is helping to alleviate pressures in our healthcare system. We've also taken steps like including nurse practitioners in virtual care, like QDocs, and we're making sure that nurse practitioners from outside of Manitoba are welcome to practice in our province. Just this week, Honourable Speaker, we were pleased to announce that 4 new nurse practitioners have started working in the Prairie Mountain Health region, including one nurse I met with last year at their annual conference here in Winnipeg. At that time, the nurse shared with me, Honourable Speaker, that she had a desire to work in the Prairie Mountain Health region. She wanted to work and practice in rural Manitoba. We know that NPs provide exceptional care and support many northern and rural Manitoba populations. So we're going to keep listening to NPs, including that nurse practitioner who is now practicing in the Prairie Mountain Health region. This week and year-round, Honourable Speaker, we recognize our great Manitoba nurse practitioners for their dedicated care and essential service to this province. The care they provide to the patients of this province and communities is invaluable, and we will continue to ensure that we celebrate them and lift them up, not only today, not only this week, but every single day of the year. I hope that everyone in the House will join me in thanking not only nurse practitioners across the province, but 2 very special nurse practitioners who are here with us in the gallery today. Ashley and Ashley, thanks for everything you do. Thanks for serving Manitobans, and enjoy your week. Thank you.
Bravo!
The Honourable Member for Roblin.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I am very pleased to rise today to recognize Nurse Practitioner Week here in Manitoba. This week offers us an important opportunity to acknowledge the tremendous contributions that nurse practitioners make to our healthcare system in all kinds of settings in communities right across our province. Honourable Speaker, nurse practitioners are highly trained professionals that deliver comprehensive, patient-centred care. They diagnose, they treat, they prescribe, and they support Manitobans through some of the most difficult moments in their lives. In many parts of our province, especially rural, northern, and remote communities, nurse practitioners are truly indispensable. This week, we thank them for their skill, their dedication, and their unwavering commitment to the Manitobans they serve. But it is also important, Honourable Speaker, that recognition is matched with action. Manitobans expect a healthcare system that is stable, efficient, and accountable. They expect a system where nurse practitioners and other frontline providers have the tools, resources, and supports they need to do their jobs effectively. It means reducing administrative burdens that take time away from patient care. It means ensuring that Manitoba is a desirable working environment that's competitive with other jurisdictions, improving recruitment and retention, and protecting the long-term sustainability of our healthcare system. And I would like to thank and recognize the Nurse Practitioner Association of Manitoba for the work they do, not just for their own members, but for their patients, for Manitobans. We have heard nurse practitioners when they speak about the gaps that exist, the pressures they face, and the solutions they know will work in practice, not just on paper. Some of those solutions will require a willingness to think outside the box and consider more flexible, alternative public funding models that will improve their ability to serve Manitobans. Nurse practitioners have stepped up for Manitobans again and again through crises and through unprecedented pressure on our healthcare system. Their dedication reflects the very best of public service. So today, during Nurse Practitioner Week, we offer our sincere thanks. We honor their professionalism, their compassion, and their indispensable role in delivering healthcare across Manitoba. Not just this week, but every week of the year. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Member statements. The Honourable Member for Fort Richmond.
Honorable Speaker, today I rise to celebrate a remarkable milestone in the career of long-term Fort Richmond constituent Scott Henderson, who this year marks his 30th year as a lighting designer. Scott has also received the Winnipeg Theatre Awards Lifetime Achievement Award and is now on the Rainbow Stage Wall of Fame. If you have attended any performance in Winnipeg over the past 3 decades, you have likely experienced Scott's artistry firsthand. Since beginning his freelance career in 1995, Scott has designed over 200 productions for nearly every major theater company in Winnipeg, including the Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre, Manitoba Opera, Prairie Theatre Exchange, Rainbow Stage, the Manitoba Theatre for Young People, and the Royal Winnipeg Ballet, where he currently serves as lighting director. His work has even reached the national stages, including the Stratford and Shaw Festivals and the National Arts Centre. I've had the privilege of knowing Scott over the past few years, and I'm continually struck by his knowledge, kindness, and generosity. He speaks with such passion for his craft and for the people he mentors. Later, seeing his work on stage, it was truly inspiring to witness how much creativity and magic he brings to a performance through lighting alone. Scott's contributions reflect the spirit of Fort Richmond, creative, generous, and deeply rooted in community. He cares deeply about this place and the people who call it home. In every moment, his pride for Fort Richmond shines through, and his success is a source of joy to everyone in our community who has supported and inspired him. I invite all members to join me in congratulating Scott Henderson on 30 years of lighting up our stages, and I encourage you all to experience his brilliance this holiday season at the Royal Winnipeg Ballet's beloved production of The Nutcracker. And I would like to include my guest names in Hansard. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Interlake Gimli.
I rise today to recognize a truly remarkable woman whose lifelong commitment to service has shaped the Interlake for more than 7 decades. Alma Sigurdsson, who joins us in the gallery today, has been an unwavering pillar for Gimli. She has given her time, her talents, and her leadership to countless volunteer roles that has strengthened organizations, supported families, and preserved local traditions. Alma joined the Minerva Ladies' Aid in 1955 and has remained a devoted member for 70 years. Her volunteer dedication is guided by a simple philosophy. If there was a need and she could help, she said yes. Alma's contributions reach far beyond a single group, from leading sewing clubs and Icelandic language classes to organizing community celebrations. Alma's influence is woven into the everyday life of Gimli. She served nearly 20 years on the Bettle Home Foundation board and has supported schools, festivals, cultural events, and local initiatives for generations. Her Icelandic heritage has remained central to her life of service. In 2008, Alma was named the Fjallkona, or Lady of the Mountain, one of the highest honors in our Icelandic heritage. She carried that role with grace and dignity, later helping create a new cape and veil that is still worn by Fjallkonas today. Alma and her husband, Raymond, married for over 70 years, continue to reside in Gimli, surrounded by the community that they have enriched for a lifetime. Honorable Speaker, Alma Sigurdsson's legacy is one of generosity, humility, and unwavering commitment to others. Colleagues, please join me in thanking Alma as her example inspires us all.
The Honourable Member for Tyndall Park.
Honourable Speaker.
Sorry. the Honourable Member for the Honourable Minister of Housing, Addiction and Homelessness.
Miigwech, Honourable Speaker. I rise today on behalf of the member for St. John's to honour Dr. Sandra Delaron. Dr. Sandra Delaron is a proud member of Cross Lake First Nation with roots in the Métis community of Duck Bay. She's been awarded one of Canada's highest honours, the 2025 Governor General's Award in commemoration of the person's case. Sandra is a fierce matriarch, a respected knowledge keeper, and a tireless change maker whose life's work has transformed how we care for, protect, and uplift Indigenous women, girls, and gender-diverse relatives. She has been unwavering in her pursuit of implementing the calls of justice from the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, Girls, and Two-Spirit. Her leadership rooted in love, integrity, and trust ensures families and survivors remains at the heart of every effort towards justice and healing. Sandra refuses to allow the stories of MMIWG2S to be dismissed, erased, or forgotten. Through every project, every advocacy effort, and every conversation, she draws upon Indigenous knowledge to build systems grounded in accountability, community, care, and love. She reminds us that each of us carries a responsibility to lift each other up, to protect one another, and to act with courage. Sandra, you embody strength, compassion, and visionary leadership. I invite all my colleagues to join me in honoring Dr. Sandra Delaron for her extraordinary dedication, her transformative work, her lifelong commitment to justice and equity in Manitoba and across Canada, and I would say right across our country. Thank you for your work and leadership.
The Honourable Member for Springfield-Rashott.
Today I honor 116 years of the Cooks Creek Blacksmith Shop. Found at the Cooks Creek Heritage Museum is the D.T. Reed Blacksmith Shop. Originally located in the town of Birds Hill, the shop was said to have been constantly at work. After being a blacksmith apprentice, David Reed purchased the blacksmith shop in 1909. He borrowed $40 from J.D. MacArthur and an anvil from Postmaster Chudley to do so. Back in 1901, Reed immigrated from Scotland. Before his departure from Scotland, David spent his teen years completing an apprenticeship in Northern England. Bringing those skills to Canada, in Birds Hill, David made horseshoes, wagon wheels, sleigh runners, and almost anything made from iron. Beyond ironwork, David was known to be very handy and could repair almost anything. Eventually, David would expand the shop and turn it into a garage. The garage was used to make tools, shoe horses, and haul ice. In his work, David was known to be a perfectionist. Beyond creating and fixing things, the blacksmith shop was seen as a place for the community to organize and come together. Many gathered in cold winter nights and participated in various games. Given the shop's proximity to Winnipeg, it was able to benefit the ever-expanding city along with the rural residents in Birds Hill. Reed's blacksmith shop continued to prosper for many years, even through the Great Depression. It is people like D.T. Reed who paved the path to a prosperous Manitoba for many generations ahead. After David and his son's passing in the 1960s, the blacksmith shop was closed. It was left to be one of the only fully equipped blacksmith shops left in Manitoba. Alf Reed, D.T.'s grandson, donated the blacksmith shop to the Cooks Creek Heritage Museum in 1986. It is with this donation that the legacy and impact of the Reed family lives on here in Cooks Creek, Manitoba.
Here, here.
The Honourable Member for Tyndall Park.
Honourable Speaker, I rise this afternoon to introduce to the House 48 grade 4 students from Tyndall Park School. Yesterday, they had the opportunity to talk about what a throne speech is with their teachers at school, and today, over our pizza lunch, we were able to discuss in more detail what they thought about it. The students started by sharing how a throne speech is really amazing, but also a little weird. They said they're happy that the throne speech prioritized healthcare because it will help a lot of people. We talked about the pros and cons of plastic versus digital health cards, about what would happen if someone's wallet was stolen, concerns around privacy of information being accessed or hacked, and what would happen if your phone breaks or is stolen and that's the only way you can access your health card. All very good points. Students also are glad to see that this government is trying to get rid of crime. It's good that new legislation will ban dangerous weapons from public spaces, and there will be more security and police to keep people safe. The students also suggested that people can be kind, less violent, and we could do more to clean up the community and close certain stores to better protect people. Honorable Speaker, the students had some good advice for all of us politicians when debating the role AI should play in school. They suggest focusing on higher grades, making sure AI is not used as a cheating resource, and they emphasized that students really do want to be able to learn without AI. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, and I may have influenced this one a little bit, students expressed concern that there still isn't a plan to open the Seven Oaks ER after this government campaigned on a promise that they would. The students said it's important to reopen now because there are lots of residents who live close by, some can't drive, and it's for emergencies. In closing, I'd like to thank the students for their attention to the throne speech and ask my colleagues to join me in welcoming those who have joined us here today. Thank you.
A couple of things before we move on to oral questions. First, we have some guests seated in the public gallery. Scott Henderson, Karen Toll Henderson, Sean Henderson, and Alex Henderson, and they are guests of the Honourable Member for Fort Richmond. We welcome you here today. Next, I would like to draw the attention of all honourable members to the Speaker's Gallery, where we have with us today Mr. Jeffrey Schnur. As members know, Jeffrey has served the Assembly in several roles over the last 9 years, but he has recently announced that he is moving on to serve as the Conflict of Interest Commissioner for the Legislative Assembly of British Columbia. Even a partial list of the positions from Jeffrey's resume is deeply impressive. Here are just some of his professional accomplishments. Executive Director of Manitoba Law Reform Commission, a variety of roles within the Manitoba Department of Justice, including Executive Director of Policy Development and Analysis Division, Director of Prosecutions and Criminal Justice Policy, Assistant Deputy Minister of Justice, Courts Division, Deputy Minister of Justice and Deputy Attorney General, Jeffrey was appointed to the Queen's Council in 1992, now the King's Council, Ethics Officer for the Government of Nunavut, and most recently, Jeffrey has held several key roles within the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba, the Manitoba Lobbyist Register, Information and Privacy Adjudicator, Conflict of Interest Commissioner, which became the Ethics Commissioner in 2023. Members will recall that in this last role as Manitoba's first Ethics Commissioner, Jeffrey oversaw the implementation of many changes to our conflict of interest legislation, in addition to providing confidential advice to MLAs and assisting members with their disclosure obligations. Jeffrey developed a new online disclosure process and website. He also took on the challenging task of creating a process for responding to requests from MLAs to give an opinion respecting the compliance of other members with the Conflict of Interest Act. In all of these professional pursuits, Jeffrey applied an uncommon diligence, rigor, and timeless dedication to the work before him. Jeffrey carries with him a deep reverence and respect for the work of this Assembly, a quality reflected in every role and task that he has undertaken. Additionally, I can report from his Assembly colleagues that he was always a pleasure to work with, someone who has a consistent and positive presence in the workplace, and I would ask all members to join me in thanking Jeffrey Schnur, KC, for his distinguished service to the people of Manitoba. Thank you. Oral questions. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Honourable Speaker, yesterday's throne speech left many Manitobans concerned with all of the broken promises and renouncements by this failing NDP government. At a time when Manitoba has the worst-ranked economy in Canada, the throne speech offered vague statements and no concrete plans to immediately grow the economy. The Premier continues to highlight the Port of Churchill as though it is an immediate solution, even though the Prime Minister says, quote, there is still a lot of work to do, end quote. Will the Premier finally be honest with Manitobans and acknowledge that the Port of Churchill initiative will take at least 10 to 15 years to get going? And will he finally admit what everyone else already knows, that he has no plan to grow Manitoba's economy today?
Order, please. I would just caution the member about using statements such as, will the Premier be honest? It's very close to crossing the line of parliamentary language. The Honourable First Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to thank the member for Turtle Mountain, who recently announced that he's going to be leaving the profession as MLA. He's somebody that has been here a few years longer than myself, so he's had a very good run. And I've had the opportunity to meet his family members on the occasion of various member statements and stuff over the years. And I want to say to them that I hope this next phase is very enjoyable and it's time well spent. We all know that we make sacrifices in order to serve in this great place. And so we thank the member's family for sharing him with us. I know that he'll have many more good times and years ahead. But on the occasion of somebody announcing something this significant, I think it's important that we all gather together and honor the service to our province. Thank you, Honourable.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a supplementary question.
I asked the Premier about the Port of Churchill, and he refused to answer anything remotely similar to that. The Prime Minister says there's still a lot of work to do, and this Premier goes out talking like it's going to be done tomorrow. Manitobans' own business community is sounding the alarm. Lauren Remillard, the President and CEO of the Winnipeg Chamber of Commerce, said, and I quote, "If action is the currency of government, our economy got shortchanged with the throne speech," end quote. Manitobans expected a plan for growth and growing our economy. This Premier failed to deliver on that. Where is the Premier's plan to grow Manitoba's economy from being dead last under his failing NDP government to actually doing something to help Manitoba businesses?
The Honourable First Minister.
Well, you know, there it is. It's queued up for you. It's right sitting on the tee. All you got to do is swing the wiffle bat and hit it there. To my colleague on the other side, just say a couple nice things. Thank you for selling a few tables to the dinner, maybe. Yeah. I don't know why he couldn't thank him, but hey, that's what happens when you're at a PC convention, apparently. No good times to be had there. In fact, I'll quote from the member's speech at the dinner when he apparently did not thank the Turtle Mountain MLA. He said, "To me, I think that's terrible. That is a massive, monumental mistake. How could we forget our own MLAs? I'm the leader. It's my mistake. Yes, I know that we left off a colleague who got us all the prizes for tonight, and we forgot him. Catastrophic mistakes, unacceptable," end quote. Yeah, you forgot something else. Everyone in Manitoba, you ignore the whole province. That's why you're on the opposition benches. You keep this up, the only question we got is, who's going to retire next?
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on the
Manitoba,
final
here's the
supplementary
difference.
question.
Manitoba, here's the difference between this side of the House, myself as a leader, and this joke on this side of the House. I can admit when the mistake has been made. I can own up to that. What does this Premier do when I ask him a question about growing the economy from Manitoba? He makes jokes about missing a pitch. He makes jokes, and he's obsessed with this side of the House and our convention. Maybe he's just upset that we sold hundreds and hundreds of more tickets to our dinner than they did. Maybe that's the sad reality of what's happening. The reality of what's happening is that Manitoba Nurses Union, quote, are saying that we're almost jumping the gun. I have nurses coming to me and asking me, where are they? Just, end quote. This Premier claims to think that the nursing problem is solved in this province. Manitobans don't believe him. No one believes him. Will the Premier admit today that he just made a big flashy announcement once again with no proof, no backing, and no more nurses in this province?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable First Minister.
Well, it gets worse for the members opposite because, you know, when the big triumphant address came from their leader, this is how he tried to rile up the folks on the opposition benches. He said, and I quote, "To say I'm going to sacrifice everything I have in my body to win, that's tough because you're probably still going to lose, right?"
Oh my God. What?
Yeah, no, that's literally what he said. And then he goes on, how is what we're facing in this room any different? Again, he's talking to the PC audience in the room there. How is what we're facing in this room any different? The cards are stacked against us. We don't have a lot of time for the next election. We have a party that we're rebuilding. And that's it.
That's it.
That's the end. No rhetorical flourish, no vision, hating on Churchill, hating on economic growth, hating on healthcare. They could keep hating until they're a party of one, led by the member for Fort White. We're going to keep up building Manitoba for the future.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a new question.
The Premier is clearly obsessed with our amazing gala and our convention.
Yep.
The Premier is obsessed with actually, that quote was from my professional playing days. Unlike this Premier who had a failed rapping career, the Premier is obviously jealous of what we're doing. He won't answer a question about Manitoba Nurses Union. He won't answer a question about Churchill. He won't answer a question about economy. Maybe he'll answer a question about why he's removing Manitobans' democratic rights to have their voices heard. That's right. This Premier is moving forward with a drug consumption site in downtown Winnipeg without Manitobans having their voices heard. Maybe the Premier can, for once, try to take a question serious, not make a joke, not talk about how amazing our gala was, and answer. Why did the Premier circumvent the residents of Point Douglas and commit to opening a drug consumption site downtown?
Here, here.
The Honourable First Minister.
The leader of the PC stands here, calls it a consumption site because he wants to make a post on social media. But when he was in the committee, he apologized for that term and said he'd never use it again. So again, he's going to do whatever he thinks the PC base wants him to do, except for this. He took away the PC party's democratic right to have a say on what their next logo is going to be. This new logo is the worst. ChatGPT meets clip art meets found art at a garage sale. The thing hurts me as a progressive to look at. I want them to do better. I'm cheering for the graphic designers to have another go at it. And apparently I'm not the only one. He had to convince people in his own party. Again, this is also from the same speech. He said this person could not see it. I don't know why. He still doesn't see it. It's as clear as day. Who is the member that I'm talking about? Well, it's the member for Steinbach. Come on! It's a big thing. We're building the province.
Member's time has expired. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a supplementary question.
I'm asking a serious question about drug consumption sites in the province, and the Premier stands up and makes jokes. Makes jokes about logos. Attacks members on this side of the House. Wants to make light of Manitobans dying from drug overdoses. On this side of the House, we're against providing Manitobans with drugs. On that side of the House, this Premier not only wants to provide Manitobans with drugs, he wants to circumvent your democratic right to have your voice heard. For any consultation, what does the Premier do? He stands up and makes jokes about a logo. It's pathetic. It's embarrassing. Manitobans, you deserve better. Will the Premier stand up and tell Manitobans today why he is circumventing Manitobans' right to come out and have their voices heard when it comes to a drug consumption site in their backyard?
The Honourable First Minister.
We know that the only ones to ever circumvent your right in an election was the PCs.
That's right.
They were found to have violated your will in the last election. Heather Stephenson was fined. Their current colleague was fined. This leader has taken no action. And you know who else supports them? The new PC party president. I'll table this post made by their new party president in which he condemns Rochelle Squires, condemns Kevin Klein for standing up to this corruption, for standing up to this unethical behavior. And he says, in fact, that he supports that violation of the will of the people. Plus ça change, plus ça reste même. What does that mean in French translated to English? PC party corruption. Too much corruption on that side. Let's keep building things for the better, working together.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a final supplementary question.
The Premier wants to stand up and make jokes. He wants to attack members on this side of the House. He wants to make fun of logos. He wants to make fun of the president party. But he won't answer the simple question of why does he think it's okay? Why does he think he's above the law to go around Manitobans and open a drug consumption site in your own backyard? We know that the NDP want to provide you with drugs. On this side of the House, we want to provide Manitobans with support. We want to provide Manitobans with getting off of drugs.
Order.
We want to help Manitobans. They want to give you more illegal drugs. So again, I'll ask the Premier again, why is the Premier opening a drug consumption site downtown without having input from residents that live there? Why does he think he's above the law?
Order. The Honourable First Minister.
The only person who thought they were above the law was Heather Stephenson, and she was fined. First Premier ever fined. He supported her. In fact, that's his role model. That's his political mentor. And so what did he do? Put her in a video. The big new PC party. They roll out the little video that they've been working on, that they had Sora, the app, create for them. And who's in it? Heather Stephenson, Brian Pallister, Sterling Lyon. They should have shown acute protracted restraint when it comes to their guest list at this terrible event. We go to their backyard and we sell out dinners all the time. That's right. You know why? Manitobans are sick of the corruption. They're sick of a leader who cries in front of the camera one day and then goes back to using the same terms that he apologized for in the very next day. On this side of the House, we're building the economy, we're fixing healthcare, and we're bringing the province together. Let's keep working together, Manitoba.
The Honourable Member for Midland.
Honourable Speaker, Manitobans need an affordability plan, but the NDP's throne speech delivered nothing. No tax relief, no cost of living help, not even urgency. Cost of living is the #1 issue facing Manitobans. Families are drowning in bills, struggling to pay their mortgages, and struggling to feed their families. Yet all Manitobans got yesterday were empty promises and empty wallets. Why did this NDP choose political spin over delivering real, tangible affordability measures for Manitoba families?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, you want to talk about real tangible measures. That's exactly what this government has been focused on. From the minute we got into government, we started working to save Manitobans money, starting with a year-long gas tax holiday, resulting in now a permanent cut to the gas tax for Manitobans. also brought in a middle-class tax cut, a hydro rate freeze, and of course yesterday our throne speech focused on the work that we're going to do to continue to make grocery prices even lower. And of course we're very proud that we know the work that we've already been doing is already working, because we know that Stats Canada has said that we have some of the lowest grocery prices in Canada. More to do, but we're going to keep doing the work of making life more affordable.
The honourable member for Midland on a supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, this throne speech offered nothing, not one solution to bring down grocery prices. $12 for a pack of lettuce, $6 for a jug of milk is not sustainable, and it's not affordable for Manitoba families. A study does not put food on the table for Manitoba families. How can this Premier defend and pretend to understand a cost of living crisis when he offered no real affordability measures in his throne speech today or into the future?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, when it comes to groceries, we didn't just offer a study. We brought in a bill, Bill 31, that will help to have more competition between grocery stores to bring prices down. When it comes to ensuring that all Manitobans can access food that they need, we brought in a universal school nutrition program to make sure our kids, make sure our kids can start the day with a healthy meal. And of course, we've frozen crown rents to help keep producers' costs low to translate into lower food costs. We are doing the work of making life more affordable. Our last budget had 25 ways to save, Honourable Speaker. And of course, we're really proud to continue doing that work each and every day. Manitobans can count on this team, on this government, to focus on their needs, and they can expect us to continue doing the important work of lowering their costs.
The honourable member for Midland on a final supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, perhaps the minister actually needs to read the throne speech, because there is no new affordability measures that were announced yesterday. Nothing to address the cost of living crisis. But what we're seeing is cost of living is increasing, taxes are increasing, our economy is decreasing, and investment is decreasing with this province. Almost half of Manitobans are reporting that they're almost $200 away from bankruptcy and insolvency. Yet this NDP government missed the mark in providing any new affordability measures for Manitoba families. Empty promises and empty wallets. That's what Manitobans got yesterday. When will this failed NDP provide real solutions, tangible solutions on affordability measures to help Manitoba families today?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, the member is wrong. Yesterday we brought in that commitment to continue doing the work of lowering grocery prices, and we committed to ensuring that we take control of out-of-control, above-guideline rent increases. Now, we know on the other side of the aisle, the members opposite don't really think that rent is an issue. In fact, what did they do to renters during their time in government? They jacked up taxes on them by $175. That's their record, raising costs on renters, those who need the most support, seniors, people on fixed incomes. They're not concerned about those Manitobans. We are. We're working every single day to deliver for Manitobans across the province, and they can count on us to continue doing that work each and every single day we're in government.
The Honourable Member for Borderland.
Honourable Speaker, that throne speech yesterday was full of empty promises. We all know that the NDP aren't serious about balancing the budget. If they were, they wouldn't have arbitrarily turned a $373 million surplus left to them by the previous PC government into $4 billion of deficit spending. But the bigger question is this empty promise to balance the budget within the next 2 years really a pretext to raise taxes? Is this NDP government planning to raise the PST again?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, we are committed to balancing the budget, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to continue that work of balancing fiscal responsibility with ensuring we continue to make the investments we need to fix health care and continue making gains and improving education. The members opposite slashed and burned for years. They cut every program around, and their last year, what was their big gift that they left Manitobans? A $2 billion deficit hole. Again, they don't like that when we say that, but what we can confirm is that an independent accounting firm, M&P, confirmed that it was due to their reckless and risky decision-making that Manitobans were left with a giant fiscal hole to climb out of. We're climbing out of that hole, we're doing the work, we're managing the books responsibly, and we're going to keep doing that work proudly each and every day.
The Honourable Member for Borderland on a supplementary question.
Well, that was a shaky answer. It sounds like a yes. I think Manitobans are going to be holding on to their wallets. This NDP government has left Manitobans with empty promises and empty pockets. They're taking more money off the kitchen table by removing indexation from income taxes, a move that will net them an additional $82 million this year, more next year and every following year. They're doing this while half of Manitobans say they are $200 or less away from insolvency at the end of each month. Does this NDP Premier have any remorse for pushing working-class Manitobans to the brink?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, again, I'm really proud to get up here and be able to talk about the important work this team is doing to make life more affordable each and every day. When we came in, we did something they didn't do for 7.5 years. Every day for 7.5 years, they kept the cost of fuel high for Manitobans. What did we do? Within like 6 months of getting in government, we cut the fuel tax to make sure Manitobans in every corner of the province were saving money. Now followed by a hydro rate freeze, now followed by middle-class tax cuts. We're cutting everything in terms of costs, Honourable Speaker, because we know for years Manitobans suffered under their leadership, and we're doing that while we manage the books responsibly. I was incredibly proud that only a couple weeks ago, DBRS, the third credit rating agency, said that we are managing the books responsibly. We got an independent stamp of approval for a fiscal plan.
Expired. The Honourable Member for Borderland on a final supplementary question.
A lot of words by a fast-talking NDP Premier, Minister, but one thing is clear to Manitobans. This NDP economy is not working for them. A recent survey showed 42% of Manitobans are struggling financially. Half of Manitobans are $200 or less away from not being able to pay their bills at the end of each month. This comes all the while the NDP has jacked up income taxes by $80 million, and they've jacked up education property taxes by $350 million. We all know that the NDP love to have their fingers in other people's wallets. But will this Premier today promise no new taxes?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, this team cut taxes. In fact, we cut almost every single tax there is because we know Manitobans need to save money after years that the members' office jacked up their costs. Look at the record, Honourable Speaker, when it comes to hydro rates. We've talked about this too many times in this House because they seem to forget their record. What did they do? Over years, they jacked up hydro rates with every new creative, novel mechanism they could find, including, for the first time in this province's history, doing a run around the Public Utilities Board and ramming through hydro rates through legislation. That's the first time that's ever happened. One of many things the members opposite did to jack up costs on Manitobans, including lifting costs on renters and beyond. That's their record. Our team, every day, we're going to keep focusing on serving the good people.
The Honourable Member for Roblin.
Nurse practitioners are autonomous, highly trained clinicians who provide comprehensive patient care. They've been an integral part of Manitoba's healthcare system for decades, and today they are ready to help close the gaps in Manitoba's healthcare system. But they can only do it in partnership with a government that is willing to look outside the box and explore alternate funding models that would allow them to practice independently. Since the minister received the federal interpretation letter 10 months ago, what steps have they taken to explore flexible, alternative public funding models for nurse practitioners in Manitoba?
Great question.
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
I welcome that question from the member opposite. We've been working with Canada to make sure that there's clarity across the provinces and territories in terms of the federal government's interpretation letters that were sent out. I look forward to the federal provincial territorial meeting we'll have with Minister Michel tomorrow late afternoon. But it is interesting, Honourable Speaker, when I first met with nurse practitioners in my office not long after becoming the Minister for Health, NPAM, the nurses, shared with me that was the first time they had been invited to meet in the Health Minister's office. What? While that member was advising Heather Stephenson to fire nurses, she was probably also advising Heather Stephenson to not bother meeting with nurse practitioners. I will take no lessons from that member.
The Honourable Member for Roblin on a supplementary question.
Saskatchewan and Alberta are expanding opportunities for nurse practitioners and at the same time giving people greater access to a regular primary care provider. Next door in Saskatchewan, the government is offering NPs contracts to practice independently and develop their own patient rosters. Alberta is also enabling NPs to open their own clinics, take on patients, and offer services based on their scope of practice, training, and expertise. Will the Minister of Health commit to working with the Nurse Practitioner Association of Manitoba to explore and implement alternative public funding models that would increase access to primary care services for Manitobans?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, we will continue building a strong relationship with nurse practitioners in this province. Of course, our relationship with the Nurse Practitioners Association of Manitoba means a great deal to our government. In the past 2 years, we've been able to build that relationship through open lines of communication and working together meaningfully. That didn't happen for 7.5 years under the previous government. Our government has put dedicated resources in every single budget we've brought forward for nurse practitioners, and we will continue to work with them to make sure that NPs have a broader and more specialized scope of practice in this province, and that no matter where you live, you benefit from their expertise.
Right.
The Honourable Member for Roblin on a final supplementary question.
Too many Manitobans are facing long waits for primary care. Nurse practitioners can help close that gap. The current funding model is holding them back. If the NDP government allows Manitoba to fall behind neighbouring provinces when it comes to funding models and enabling nurse practitioners to practice independently, Manitoba will lose nurse practitioners to other provinces where they have more autonomy and greater ability to serve their patients. Nurse practitioners weren't even mentioned in yesterday's throne speech. Will the Minister of Health commit to exploring and implementing alternative funding models that will give Manitobans greater access to the care provided by a nurse practitioner?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, the shorter answer to that question is we already have. Our government has been doing the work to make sure that nurse practitioners can work not only to their full scope, but that we're training more NPs and that they're built into our healthcare structures in ways that allow for them to practice in innovative manners that they're bringing forward, including virtual care, Honourable Speaker. We're going to continue to work with NPs to move this area of healthcare in the right direction. We're going to continue to make sure that we're innovating care in this province by listening to those who deliver it to Manitobans each and every day. We doubled their training seats. We invested in nurse practitioner-led clinics across this province. We know there's more to do. 7.5 years of less than nothing from the member opposite. We're doing the work to fix it, making it better.
Right on.
The Honourable Member for Portage-La Prairie.
Honourable Speaker, empty promise after empty promise. Over 31,000 Manitobans are still waiting for an MRI, more than ever before. The Portage Hospital Foundation has offered to provide the machine, but that would be action, and this government only promises. The community found the funds in spite of this government. Why is this minister continuing again and again to say no?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, what we've heard loud and clear from Manitobans is that they're saying yes to our government's approach to healthcare. Yes to our government's approach to staffing the front lines with over 3,500 net new healthcare workers. Yes to over 450 net new beds being added to the healthcare system. And yes to training more technologists to deliver the MRI care in this province than ever before. That's after 7.5 years of not only not having a plan, but firing and closing the services that Manitobans count on to make sure that we can deliver that care across this province. The member opposite would be better served to understand the investments we're making to move things in the right direction. I'd be happy to answer any questions he has if he asks them in good faith.
That's right.
The Honourable Member for Portage-La Prairie on a supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, the doctors in Portage-La Prairie were told over and over, no MRI. Honourable Speaker, the Pink Lady Snowmobile Club in Portage-La Prairie is wanting to buy a mammogram machine because that's what they were told by this minister they could do. The machine, through the Portage Hospital Foundation, and they keep getting turned down by this government. They hear only empty promises and never action. The people of Manitoba are stepping up and fundraising. Why can't this government?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, I didn't really understand what the member was asking, to be completely honest. Maybe he'll repeat his question the third time. What I can say is that mammography services are very, very important. And when I met with the doctors in Portage la Prairie and the technologists and folks from the community, they did actually make it very clear that what they needed was more mammography care in that part of the province. And so we are working with them to make sure that we're moving in that direction. A big part of that is making sure we're training the number of people needed to deliver mammography care. And I'm happy to share with this House that we are more than half of the way there in hiring the number of technologists we need to deliver mammography services here in Manitoba. And I want to thank each and every one of those folks for choosing that career path. So there's more work to do. We know that for many years, unfortunately, mobile breast cancer screening was cut by the previous government.
Time has expired. The Honourable Member for Portage la Prairie on a final supplementary question.
Still no mammography machine in Portage la Prairie. Tens of thousands of Manitobans are waiting for an MRI. Countless Manitoba women are being denied timely access to needed mammography services or are being forced to travel. The community did the work for this government. All they need to do is cut the ribbon. So why is this minister cutting Manitobans' hopes instead of buying the equipment?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Let's talk about cuts. The member sits on the side of the House where year after year after year they cut mobile breast cancer screening. Honourable Speaker, I think it's fair to say that's disgusting. They cut the mobile breast cancer screening services that would go to his community and surrounding communities. What is he talking about?
He doesn't know.
He sits on the side of the House where they attacked and cut women's health care for 7.5 years. What is he talking about, Honourable Speaker? On this side of the House, we're investing in women's health care because we stand with women and we know they deserve the best in this province.
Order. The Honourable Member for Tyndall Park.
Honourable Speaker, yesterday Manitoba heard this government's throne speech and there are concerns. For example, you can't mandate nursing ratios and remove overtime without first hiring enough nurses. According to a CBC article from yesterday that I'm tabling now, Manitoba's Nurses Union and the Manitoba Association of Healthcare Professionals explain how hospital staff are still facing burnout and sky-high vacancies. MNU's president, Darlene Jackson, straight up said that we're still in a nursing shortage. Can the minister responsible please share how hospitals can be expected to meet the government's mandate when there are not enough nurses on staff?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
I thank the member from Tyndall Park for that really important question. Our government has worked very, very hard alongside healthcare providers and experts in this province and across government, across different departments, to move staffing in the right direction. Manitoba nurses across this province have made it very, very clear to us that gone must be the days of using mandated overtime as a scheduling tool and tactic. It's unacceptable, Honourable Speaker. We have to do better. Bringing forward this legislation is going to hold regional health authorities and leadership accountable to approaching staffing the right way. And we have done a tremendous job alongside the front lines, alongside our partners in staffing healthcare. We have over 1,200 net new nurses working in this province. That's a big deal. That's a big step. And we know there's more work to do, but we're not taking our foot off the gas, Honourable Speaker. We're going to continue to hire thousands of net new nurses and make sure that they can work in a workplace that balances, work-life balances, and they can go home to their families when they're scheduled to.
The Honourable Member for Tyndall Park on a supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, in yesterday's throne speech, I was glad to hear that access to health is being made a priority. However, a concern about health cards has been brought to my attention. The new plastic cards lack features found in other provinces. and the QR code feature is not being used in most healthcare facilities. Why would the government spend almost $6 million and hire 20 full-time workers for plastic cards to only months later provide a digital option? Over 200,000 people registered for a new plastic card since May. Does the government feel that they were fiscally responsible with this decision, or should they have provided Manitobans the option of plastic or digital from the get-go?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, our government believes in the opportunity for Manitobans to have the freedom to choose. We believe in supporting their ability to choose what works best for them, for their families, and it was important for us to get out of the dark ages of the PCs, where paper health cards with coffee stains and tears and tape on them were the way that people had to access care. We've done better. We've moved over to plastic health cards. You can use your plastic health card to book an appointment on our website, medinav.ca, and see a doctor or nurse practitioner in the same day. And now we're moving to digital health cards. That's an important step to modernize our healthcare system. We know there's more work to do, and we look forward to sharing more good news with Manitobans as we continue to do the work.
The Honourable Member for Tyndall Park on a final supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, for decades, Manitobans have experienced long, often more than 24-hour wait times in ERs. Concerns have been raised about the unsafe experiences from the Manitoba Nurses Union, Winnipeg Regional Health, and directly from hospital staff and patients. There have been assaults and public disturbances in and by our healthcare facilities, and unfortunately, police intervention is becoming normalized to the point of not reporting. Manitobans are confused about the patient safety charter that this government failed to release details about or consult on. Can the minister clearly explain what the charter is and how it will provide protection?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
What I would say to the member is that we look forward to bringing forward more details about the Patient Safety Charter, but I do want to speak to the work that our government is doing to ensure that frontline healthcare providers, that patients and that visitors, that they all feel and are safer and more secure when delivering and accessing healthcare. Everybody should be safe at work. Everybody should be safe when they're accessing healthcare or visiting a loved one in a healthcare setting. We've taken a number of steps to move that in the right direction. And so if you're maybe one of the students who are in the gallery here today and you're wondering about safety in healthcare, I want to reassure you that our government is working very, very hard with experts in this province, with the Winnipeg Police Service, with the Justice Department, and with our healthcare settings to make sure that you and your loved ones are safer in healthcare.
Time has expired. The Honourable Member for Tuxedo.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Yesterday's throne speech lays out the next steps as our government keeps fixing healthcare in Manitoba. 2 years in, a lot's been done. A lot still to come. And a lot to lose if the PCs were ever to return to office. Can the Minister of Health please tell us more about yesterday's speech and how we're continuing to build healthcare for the people of Manitoba?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Thank my colleague from Tuxedo for that great question. As QP 204 President Margaret Schroeder said, and I quote, Honourable Speaker, yesterday, the government really stepped up to the plate on healthcare, end quote. We're introducing a patient safety charter to enshrine your rights as patients into law. We're ending mandatory overtime, starting with nurses, so you get the best care possible. We're introducing staff-to-patient ratios, creating better working conditions for patients and for staff, and we're eliminating the burden of sick notes. 8 new ISOs in Thompson, 14 new primary care paramedic training seats, birthing services in Norway House Cree Nation, and we are just getting started, Honourable Speaker. We will never risk going back to the days of the PC's way of doing business, cutting chaos and mistreatment of health care.
Time has expired. The Honourable Member for Agassiz.
This Premier is all talk and no action. 2 years ago, he was threatening grocery stores that if prices didn't drop, there would be consequences. That was 2 years ago. Well, that threat was as empty as Manitobans' wallets after the most recent round of NDP tax hikes. There's not a single affordability measure in the throne speech, and Manitoba families are the only ones paying for the consequences for the NDP's inaction. Was this the Premier's intent, or will he admit he's failed miserably?
The Honourable First Minister.
First thing I did after we beat the lying, sniveling PCs in the last eletion is that we cut the gas tax to put more money back in your pocket. That's right. Then in yesterday's throne speech, we announced that we're going to help you when it comes to paying the rent, and we're going to help you when it comes to the cost of groceries. Right. These are your priorities. These are our priorities. Now let's check in on what's going on in the opposition side of the House. While we're trying to save you money, what are they up to? Oh, they're all figuring out who's going to resign next. That's right. You got to line up outside the Leader of the Opposition's office. It's going to be Steinbach. No, it's going to be Springfield Rashad. No, it's Red River North. And they're like, wait, is he still here? What's that guy doing on the opposition benches? We on this side of the House, we're committed to saving you money. We're committed to Churchill. We're building an energy plant in Western Manitoba. We're fixing health care. The only thing that is standing in our way is the PCs. Let's not risk going back to the...
expired. I have a ruling for the House. I have a ruling for the House first. In the second session of the 43rd Legislature, following oral questions and the delivery of a Speaker's ruling on October 29, 2025, the Honourable Member for Steinbach raised a matter of privilege regarding members disregarding traditions of the House, specifically alleging that the Honourable First Minister ignored the Speaker's call to order and left the chamber while the Speaker was standing and advising members that a ruling was about to be delivered. The member concluded his remarks by moving that this matter be referred to a committee of the House. The Honourable Deputy Government House Leader spoke to the matter before I took it under advisement. In order for a matter of privilege to be ruled a prima facie, a member must demonstrate that the issue has been raised at the earliest opportunity, while also providing sufficient evidence to support the claim that a prima facie case of privilege has been established. On the condition of timeliness, the member raised the matter immediately after the incident in question occurred on October 29, 2025, so I would agree that he raised the matter at his earliest opportunity. Regarding the second condition of whether a prima facie case was demonstrated, in his submission, the Honourable Member for Steinbach related that, in that moment, he observed the Honourable First Minister leaving the chamber after I had announced that I had a ruling for the House. The member noted that members remaining in their seats at such a moment is an important tradition in this place and expressed his opinion that this action by the Premier was disrespectful to the Speaker and to all members of the House. It is important to note here that the basis of the member's complaint is an alleged breach of practice of this House. I reference this because members should know that any matter concerning the members by which the House proceeds in the conduct of business would be a question of order, not privilege. Joseph Mango, in the second edition of the Parliamentary Privilege in Canada, states on page 14 that allegations of breach of privilege by a member in the House that will amount to complaints about procedures and practices in the House are by their very nature matters of order. He also states on page 223 of the same edition that a breach of the standing orders or a failure to follow an established practice would involve a failure to follow, would invoke a point of order rather than a question of privilege. Accordingly, I am ruling that on this matter, the member did not establish a prima facie case of privilege. I would also remind the House that when the Speaker stands at the end of oral questions and announces that a ruling is about to be delivered, all members should return to their seats and wait for the ruling to be delivered. This has been a practice of this House for many decades and should be accordingly respected. I also need to add a clarification regarding this matter. During his submission, the Honourable Member for Steinbach referenced the fact that the Premier had started to leave the chamber. In the moment, I intervened and reminded the member that this House, we should not be commenting on whether a member is present or absent. While that is a well-established practice in this House under the unique circumstances of raising a matter of privilege relating to the actions of a member which included leaving the House, I was incorrect in that intervention. The member could not have accurately raised this matter without referencing the fact that another member was leaving the chamber. As such, he would be allowed to make such a statement under those specific circumstances only. I recognize that this is a unique, nuanced, and rare exception to our standard practice in this place, which is why I wanted to explain myself as part of this ruling. And I thank all members for their attention to this matter. The Honourable Opposition House Leader.
Yeah, with all due respect, Honourable Speaker, I'd like to challenge the ruling.
The ruling of the Speaker has been challenged. All those in favour of sustaining the ruling, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Nay. In my opinion, the ayes have it. The Honourable Opposition House Leader.
Yeah, recorded vote, please.
Our recorded vote has been called for. Please call in the members. Order, please. The 1 hour allowed for the ringing of the bells has come to an end, so I request the bells be turned off and the House proceed to the vote. So the question before the House at this time is, shall the ruling of the Speaker be sustained? All those in the House in favor of the ruling, please rise.
Okay.
Honourable Mr. Canoe.
Honourable Mr. Canoe.
Honourable Minister Schmidt.
Honourable Minister Schmidt.
Honourable Mr. Weeb.
Honourable Mr. Weeb.
Honourable Minister Sala.
Honourable Mr. Sala.
Honourable Mr. Kostyshin.
Honourable Mr. Kostyshin.
Honourable Ms. Smith.
Honourable Ms. Smith.
Honourable Mr. Bushy.
Honourable Mr. Bushy.
Honourable Mr. Simard.
Honourable Mr. Simard.
Honourable Minister Marcelino.
Honourable Minister Marcelino.
Honourable Minister Kennedy.
Honourable Minister Kennedy.
Honourable Minister Cable.
Honourable Minister Cable.
Honourable Minister Naylor.
Honourable Minister Naylor.
Honourable Minister Sandhu.
Honourable Minister Sandhu.
Honourable Minister Moyes.
Honourable Minister Moyes.
Honourable Minister Morose.
Honourable Minister Morose.
MLA Malloway.
MLA Malloway.
MLA Corbett.
MLA Corbett.
Mr. Blaschko.
Mr. Blaschko.
MLA Chen.
MLA Chen.
MLA Pankratz.
MLA Pankratz.
MLA Devgan.
MLA Devgan.
MLA Compton.
MLA Compton.
Mr. Oxenham.
Mr. Oxenham.
MLA Loisette.
MLA Loiselle.
Mrs. Schott.
Mrs. Schott.
Mr. Brar.
Mr. Brar.
MLA Redhead.
MLA Redhead.
MLA Cross.
MLA Cross.
All those in the chamber opposed, please rise.
Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson.
Mrs. Cook.
Mrs. Cook.
Mr. Narth.
Mr. Narth.
Mr. Schuler.
Mr. Schuler.
Mr. Gertzen.
Mr. Gertzen.
Mrs. Hebert.
Mrs. Hebert.
Mr. Balkan.
Mr. Balkan.
Mr. Ginter.
Mr. Ginter.
Mr. Panook.
Mr. Panook.
Mr. King.
Mr. King.
Mr. Owasco.
Mr. Owasco.
Mr. Vasiliev.
Mr. Vasiliev.
Mr. Wharton.
Mr. Wharton.
Mr. Wochuk.
Mr. Wochuk.
Mrs. Robbins.
Mrs. Robbins.
MLA Lamoureux.
MLA Lamoureux.
We will now conduct the alphabetical roll call of members participating virtually, and as a reminder to all virtual members, please respond clearly with either I vote yes or I vote no, only when your name is called. Also remind members to unmute their mics only when they are recognized, and then immediately mute it again once they've declared their vote. Paige will now conduct the vote.
MLA De La Cruz.
I vote yes.
MLA De La Cruz votes yes.
Ms. Laughlin.
I vote yes.
Ms. Laughlin votes yes.
Mr. Prashant.
I vote no.
Mr. Prashant votes no. Well done.
Thank you.
Catherine. Ayes 30, nays 17.
The motion, the ruling of the Speaker has been sustained. The Honourable Opposition House Leader.
On a point of order.
The Honourable Opposition House Leader on a point of order.
Honourable Speaker, the rules of this House are very clear. Some language is considered unparliamentary, and probably one of the most well-documented is to allege that a member is not telling the truth. Earlier today, you cautioned the Leader of the Opposition that he was coming close to unparliamentary language without crossing that line. Yet, when the Premier referred to, and I quote, lying, sniveling PCs,
Order.
in reference to the opposition, that line was crossed.
Order.
It's these disgusting bullying tactics that need to stop. This is not acceptable.
Order. Matters of privilege, points of orders are pretty important things, and I need to be able to hear them. So I would ask all members to please remain silent while a member has the floor during this. The Honourable Opposition House Leader.
That just goes to show, once a bully, always a bully. The stripes will not change. Honourable Speaker, can you please ask the Premier to retract his statements and apologize to this House?
Before recognizing any other members to speak to this, I would remind them to keep their comments very pertinent just to the point of order. The Honourable First Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Yes, on this same point of order. Yes, when I said lying, sniveling PCs or lying, sniveling Conservatives, can't remember exactly what the member opposite said. I withdraw the word lying. I should have simply said sniveling Conservatives. There you go.
Order, please. So I've listened to what the member had to say. I've listened to what the First Minister had to say, and he has withdrawn the word that would in any way, shape, or form been deemed as unparliamentary. I would accept that from the First Minister. I would caution people to make sure that language they use, like sniveling, is close to being unparliamentary. So let's think about what we say a little closer in the future, and that resolves that matter. Petitions. Orders of the day, government business. The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I would like to announce that the Standing Committee on Legislative Affairs will meet in camera on Thursday, November 20, 2025 at 10 a.m. to consider the following: the hiring process for the Chief Electoral Officer and the hiring process of the Ethics Commissioner and Information and Privacy Adjudicator.
It has been announced that the Standing Committee on Legislative Affairs will meet in camera on Thursday, November 20, 2025 at 10 a.m. to consider the following: the hiring process for the Chief Electoral Officer and the hiring process for the Ethics Commissioner and Information and Privacy Adjudicator. Moving on now to orders of the day, government business. So as previously announced, we will now begin debate on the address in reply to the speech from the throne. The Honourable Member for Transcona.
I move, seconded by the member for Tuxedo, that the following address be presented to Her Honour, the Lieutenant Governor. We, the members of the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba, thank Your Honour for the gracious speech addressed to us at this third session of the 43rd Legislature of Manitoba.
It's been moved by the Honourable Member for Transcona, seconded by the Honourable Member for Tuxedo, that the following address be presented to Her Honour the Lieutenant Governor. We, the members of the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba, thank Your Honour for the gracious speech addressed to us at this third session of the 43rd Legislature of Manitoba. The Honourable Member for Transcona.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. It is truly my honour to rise today and deliver my inaugural speech while responding to this year's throne speech. Standing here in this chamber, representing the community that shaped me, is a privilege I do not take lightly. I am acutely aware that one of the reasons I am here is because our good friend Nello is not. Nello was an amazing human being, teacher, politician, who always advocated for the world to be a better place. He had a deep love for his family, his students, his staff, and his beloved community of Transcona. To be clear, being an MLA was never on my radar, but I did choose to be here. I liken the whole process as a frog being boiled in a pot versus throwing a frog into a pot of boiling water. Please keep in mind that the frog does live in this situation. When I was first approached to run in the Transcona by-election, my immediate response was no, plain and simple. I understood the importance of this role, but at no point in my life did I see myself here, standing in this chambers, surrounded by this amazing team. In fact, when Nello did broach the subject with me a couple of years ago, I was so shocked by the idea that I am unable to tell you my response, as it would be unparliamentary. I want to thank Felix and Evan for being very patient with me as I made this life-altering decision. We started with a meeting. Then it was suggested that I just fill out the 30-page application form. Maybe just get your headshot done, just in case you decide to run. Get vetted. Start calling constituents, and on and on. The next thing I know, I'm in a nomination race, calling members looking for support. I was grateful to talk to Andrew and a couple of seasoned sitting MLAs who boosted my confidence and encouraged me to run. And the rest is history. And I am standing at a press conference with the Premier of Manitoba and a good majority of our current team announcing my candidacy. I want to take a few moments to honor the former member for Transcona. Nello was my mentor, my colleague, and my friend. In true Transcona fashion, I bought my first house 6 houses down from Nello. I went to school with his sister. His parents moved into his house after Nello and Barb moved to accommodate their growing family. I stayed connected with his family. I worked with Nello in River East Transcona School Division. Working alongside him in the school system taught me what real leadership looks like: integrity, humility, and a deep commitment to students and family. Nello also carried his compassion into his role as an MLA and Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning. He was committed to improving the lives of the people in Transcona and being a part of a team that put Manitobans first. I was honored to serve as the fundraising chair for both of his election campaigns and his team as the MLA for Transcona. Now, as the MLA for Transcona, I carry his legacy and his voice with me every single day. I hope to honor his memory by continuing the work he began and by serving the people of Transcona with the same heart and dedication that he brought to this role. And in Nello's words, let's get it done. I have lived in Transcona my entire life. It is where I was born, where I grew up, and where I built my career. Transcona is home. It is a vibrant, diverse, and constantly evolving community. Gone are the days when almost everyone in Transcona worked at the CN shops. Today, we are home to families from across the world. Seniors who have lived here for generations, young people building their futures, and workers from every industry. Our needs have changed. It is my responsibility to listen to the people from Transcona and advocate for them in this chamber. It is our responsibility as leaders to respond to those changes with compassion and clarity. I want to take this opportunity to express my gratitude for the people who helped me get to this moment. First, thank you to the Premier and to each and every one of the MLAs on this NDP team. You came out and canvassed with me, made phone calls, dropped flyers, gave me pep talks, checked in, and supported me through every step of the by-election. One of you may have even driven me to pick up my car after it had been towed. To this amazing team, thank you for all of your generosity with your time and expertise. Believe me, that is not something that I will ever forget. Thank you. Merci and miigwech to each and every one of you. I felt like I was a member of this team long before I was elected. That sense of belonging, that sense of being welcomed and respected from day one meant more to me than you will ever know. I know I have big shoes to fill, and I will do everything I can to make you proud. To the team who carried me through the by-election, Julius Chester, Devin Kelly, Will O'Connor, Taylor Gundenson, Acacia Westlake, Ali Kosluk, and Denise DeRosier. Thank you. You are the reason I am standing in this chamber today. You worked tirelessly. You believed in me when I doubted myself, and you showed unwavering commitment to the people of Transcona. I am deeply grateful for your leadership, your humor, your long hours, and your strength. I would also like to thank our volunteers, Steve, Vernon, Deb, Chad, David, Larry, Michael, Wayne, Linda, Barry, Rebecca, Miranda, JP, Glenn, Lauren, Dave, Jennifer, Alana, Sean, and Raphael. I also want to thank the Transcona executive, Jeff, Wally, Diane, Denise, Jen, Julius, and Leanne for your continued support. Our campaign was powered by everyday people who love Transcona and want it to thrive. You knocked on doors in the cold, made calls long after shifts, slipped on ice, and gave your evenings and weekends because you believe in our community. I also want to thank my incredible friends, Mary and Joe, who support me in every possible way. When I need to sit late in this chamber, be out of town, or have an exceptionally long day, they help out with my mom, and they even pick up my dog sometimes. They are my emotional support system, and my gratitude for them is endless. I remember when I first contemplated running and did not believe that anyone thought I could do this job. They always told me I could. My friends Tom, Tony, Tammy, Mike, Andrew, Dave, Sean, and my niece Ashley have also been a constant source of encouragement and support. They consistently check in and remind me that I need to take a break every once in a while, although we all know how hard that is to do. Most of all, I want to thank my parents. Everything I bring into this legislature begins with them. My parents taught me the meaning of hard work and community. My dad, George, had to drop out of school to work and help support his family. And although he went back later in life because he knew the value of education, he always encouraged me in my academics because he didn't want me to face the struggles he had. My dad had the biggest heart and worked hard every day to give his family the life he never had. The greatest gift he gave me was his hard work ethic. I was taught to never take things for granted, and that at the end of the day, know that you did everything you could to make that day as great as possible. I watched my dad coach, sit on various boards, and watched my mom, Bev, volunteer for every school event, fundraiser, and team activity. They were involved in their community because Transcona was their home, and they wanted to make it a better place. Their message was simple: work hard, care deeply, give back to your community. And that message is what ultimately brought me here. My advocacy work began with my sister Kathy, who has additional needs. She was the driving force that shaped so much of my life. Because of her, I became involved in caregiving and advocacy. I keep her in my mind when I make decisions. She's a constant source of inspiration. She's one of the strongest and most resilient people I will ever know. I've learned more from her than anyone else. I joined the board of her group home when I was only 25 years old, and I still serve on that board today. I've always advocated for people with additional needs as a sister, a daughter, a caregiver, an educator, and a community member. Advocacy has never been an extracurricular activity for me. It is who I am. I feel like the luckiest person in the world that I now get to advocate for the people of Transcona. As a school administrator, I got to see the other side of education. My entire career in education has provided me with insight into the barriers families face, especially when it comes to affordability. I witnessed how many families felt stressors around paying bills for housing, food, and transportation, and the effects it had on their children's well-being. I saw how hungry kids cannot learn. That is why the nutrition program brought forward by Nello was so important. It changes lives. It gives children the dignity of a full stomach and the freedom to learn without worry. Our NDP government is a listening government, and I look forward to hearing what the next steps should be for Transcona. We've already started work on the addition to Park Manor Personal Care Home right in Transcona. This investment means better access to care close to home and a stronger future for the people who built this community. If you're from Transcona and you were born there, you are a Transconian for life. Aging in your own community is so important. During the by-election, I spoke with thousands of people at the door. I heard their fears, their struggles, their hopes. I heard from young families trying to make ends meet, seniors worried about rising bills, renters afraid of unexpected rent increases, and workers concerned about gas prices and transportation costs. People want to live a good life where they can pay their bills, fill their tank, keep their lights on, afford groceries, and build a future for their children. And they want to do it in the community they love. Affordability determines whether seniors can stay in the homes they built, whether families can afford activities for their kids, whether young people can imagine a future here, and whether workers can get to their jobs without added financial strain. That is why I'm so proud to be a part of an NDP government that understands these realities. Our NDP government has already taken significant steps to help families manage rising costs. Freezing Manitoba hydro rates for a full year gives families stability and protects them from sudden, unpredictable increases. The permanent reduction in the provincial gas tax puts real dollars back in the pockets of working people in Transcona and across Manitoba. These folks are parents driving kids to school, caregivers running between appointments, shift workers commuting across the city, and small businesses managing transportation costs. Rent guideline enforcement means that renters have stronger protections against unfair rent hikes and clearer notice requirements. That stability matters. It means families can plan, budget, and stay in the neighborhoods they love. We are also investing in affordable childcare so parents can return to work without facing financial barriers. Childcare is one of the biggest affordability challenges families face, and in a growing community like Transcona, access to affordable, high-quality childcare is essential. These measures are the difference between making it through a tough month or falling behind. They give families breathing room, and they help make Transcona a place where people can build secure, fulfilling lives. Transcona is thriving, but thriving communities must evolve, and that means meeting the affordability needs of seniors, families, newcomers, renters, and longtime residents. Our NDP government understands that affordability is a foundation. It is tied to success in every other area: education, employment, mobility, and community well-being. I am proud to represent Transcona, but I also understand that I represent every Manitoban. Whether someone lives in the Maples, in Thompson, in Brandon, affordability affects us all. Our NDP government is committed to ensuring that every Manitoban has a chance to live with stability and dignity. As a teacher, I know how important representation is. Students need to see themselves in all kinds of careers, including politics. I am proud to be part of this diverse, inclusive team, and I am proud that young people in Transcona can see a neighbor, a teacher, someone they know and trust, standing here in this chamber advocating for them. I want people to feel heard. I want people across this province to know that their lived experiences matter. And I want Transcona residents to know that I am here for them, not just during campaigns, not just during a crisis, but every single day. Transcona helped raise me, and now it's my turn to give back. I am incredibly grateful that I get to do this work, that I get to bring my advocacy into this role, and that I can stand up every day for a community I love. The government listens, this government acts, and this government is committed to making life better for families in Transcona and all across Manitoba. To the people of Transcona, thank you. Thank you for your trust, for your honesty at the door, your conversations, and your hope for what this community can become. It is the honor of my life to serve you, and I will work every day to ensure our community continues to grow, evolve, and thrive. You are an integral part of One Manitoba. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Tuxedo.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. It is truly an honor to rise today in response to this year's throne speech. These moments, when we gather in this chamber to set the course for the year ahead, are never just procedural. They are a reminder of why we are here: to listen, to serve, to build a better future for Manitobans. For me, that purpose is shaped by my 19 years as a nurse. I've spent nearly 2 decades at the bedside, supporting patients, families, and colleagues through some of their most vulnerable moments. I've seen and felt what happens when systems strain under pressure, and I've seen what hope looks like when care is delivered with dignity, respect, and compassion. Now, as the MLA for Tuxedo, I carry those experiences with me every day. I represent a diverse community of families, seniors, newcomers, students, business owners, and healthcare workers. People who want to know that the place that they call home is safe, affordable, and full of opportunity. People who want a government that works alongside them, not above them. The throne speech reflects that commitment. It reflects the voices that I hear in Tuxedo, the concerns, the aspirations, and the belief that Manitoba can be a place where everyone can thrive. And at the heart of so many conversations in Tuxedo, just as across Manitoba, is healthcare. Our government is rebuilding healthcare with real action. Province-wide, we've hired 3,500 new healthcare workers, nurses, doctors, and paramedics. Who show up each and every day to care for us in our most vulnerable moments. We are reopening the Victoria ER and opening new neighborhood clinics to better support access to care closer to home. We've also expanded the role of pharmacists, a change that's already making life easier for families across Manitoba. Now, instead of waiting days for a doctor's appointment, people can walk into their local pharmacy and get help for common ailments like strep throat, UTIs, pink eye, rashes, or minor infections, right when symptoms start, not after they've gotten worse. And we know that enabling healthcare professionals to work to their full capacity, to their full scope, is one of the ways to improve access to healthcare. And this is especially important for people who don't have a family doctor or who live in communities where clinics are overwhelmed. For many Manitobans, a pharmacist is the closest and quickest point of care, and now they have the authority to act. And by providing free birth control through pharmacists, we are doing more than improving access. We're giving people control over their health, their family planning, and their finances. because reproductive care shouldn't depend on your income. It shouldn't depend on whether you can take time off work, and it shouldn't require a long wait for a prescription you already know you need. These changes make care faster, more affordable, and more accessible, especially for women, young people, and low-income families. Our government is investing in healthcare workers and patient safety. We will end mandatory overtime, starting with frontline nurses. We will legislate staff-to-patient ratios in priority areas to ensure safe staffing levels. And this is something very much personally important to me as someone who's been a nurse for many years, and this has been a topic of many conversations for the duration of my career. And we will continue to improve safety for patients and staff with a patient safety charter, enshrining into law your right to good health care. And we are strengthening hospital safety with 126 institutional safety officers, 8 additional officers going to Thompson, and 2 police officers stationed 24/7 at Health Sciences Centre. And just in this past month, I've had a nurse from the Victoria Hospital directly speak with me and say that the ISOs at the Victoria Hospital have been life-changing. She says their code whites are almost non-existent now. And so that is amazing, an example of the action that our government has taken and its direct impact on the front lines and safety for healthcare workers. So this is what it looks like when a government removes barriers instead of building them, when healthcare is about people and not just systems. But most importantly, we are listening to people who actually understand the system, the nurses, physicians, technologists, paramedics, and allied health professionals who keep it running. As a nurse, I've seen too many colleagues burnt out, disrespected, and driven out by the previous government. And now we're bringing them back. We're restoring hope. For families in Tuxedo, that means shorter wait times, more access to care close to home, and fewer people forced to travel across the city for services that were once available down the street. Our government is also committed to keeping life affordable. Healthcare and affordability are linked because it shouldn't cost you your savings to stay healthy. Our government is freezing Manitoba hydro rates for a full year. While families in other provinces opened their bills to see increases, Manitobans saw stability. That matters, especially in the winter when heat is not optional. We made the gas tax cut permanent, which means families save money every single time they fill up. Whether it's the drive to work in the morning, dropping kids off at daycare, or getting to the rink for that 6 a.m. practice, these savings add up. We strengthened rent protection so landlords can't hit tenants with massive, unexpected increases, and we're easing that burden. And we are going to continue to work hard to make life more affordable for all Manitobans. And we are continuing to build stronger neighborhoods and safer communities together. Every family, whether they live in Tuxedo, Transcona, or Thompson, deserves to feel safe in their home and in their neighborhood. And safety isn't something that we take for granted. It's something we build together with care, investment, and intention. Our government is moving away from the old approach of responding only after harm has happened, and instead investing in a smarter, prevention-focused model of public safety. One that addresses root causes, not just the symptoms. That includes expanding access to addictions treatment and long-term recovery, building up mental health support so people can get help before they reach crisis, increasing community-based supports that reduce harm and increase stability, and ensuring police have the tools they need to respond to serious crime and keep people safe. As a nurse, I know that real safety can't be achieved through enforcement alone. I've seen what happens when someone struggling with addiction is treated as a criminal instead of a patient. I've seen the strain on emergency rooms, on families, and on frontline healthcare workers when people don't get help early enough. Safety is built when people get access to care before their lives unravel, when youth have support instead of being left on their own, when mental health treatment is available and not waitlisted, when recovery is met with housing, not homelessness. And that's the kind of approach our government is taking, one that sees the whole person, not just the crisis moment. Because safer communities don't happen by chance. They are built when we invest in health, in stability, and in people. Our government is strengthening education and other opportunities. As someone who worked with youth for many years, I know that schools are more than places where we teach math and reading. They are places where children discover who they are. They are places where young people find hope, confidence, and a sense of belonging. And every investment we make in education is an investment in their future and in ours. That's why I'm proud that this year alone, we've hired 630 new teachers. This means smaller class sizes, more one-on-one attention, and better support for students who need it. It means teachers can teach instead of being stretched impossibly thin. And we also made a bold and necessary decision to help our kids learn more deeply. We banned cell phones in classrooms. Not because we want to limit kids, but because we want to free them. Free them from distraction, free them to focus, free teachers to do what they do best without competing with a constant scroll of alerts and notifications. Our students deserve classrooms that are calm, focused, and built for learning, not for distraction. But it's not just about staffing and rules, it's also about spaces that lift kids up, and that's why we're investing in schools and community spaces right here at home. Like Sisler High School, where our government is donating new bleachers and a new scoreboard. It's a place where students, families, and the whole community gather. And now it will be a place that builds even more pride, spirit, and connection. And we're not stopping there. We're building 4 new schools across Manitoba, along with new childcare spaces, new classrooms, and new opportunities for families today and families still to come. Because every child, no matter where they live, deserves a place to learn that says, you matter, you belong, your future is important. I ran because I believe Manitoba should be a place where people can build a good life, raise their kids, age in dignity, and receive care when they need it. That's not a dream. That is the work we are doing right now. And since the day I was elected, I've held one question close. What does it mean to serve well? Not just to hold a title, but to hold responsibility. To listen without defensiveness, to lead without ego, to use the power we've been given not to divide, but to bring people in. Because it is more work to really listen. To sit down with nurses and paramedics, with parents and elders, with kids who are scared to speak up, but do it anyway. It's work to hear hard truths and then do something about them. But that's the work we promised Manitobans we would do, and it's the work we are doing. We inherited systems that were fragile, understaffed, and stretched thin. But Manitobans asked us to repair, not to retreat. And that's exactly what our government is doing. We are building one Manitoba with Manitobans. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Interlake Gimli.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Before I begin, I just want to take a moment to express my sincere gratitude to the people of Interlake Gimli. Every day that I rise in this chamber, I do so because you have placed your trust in me. Trust to represent you, stand up for you, and ensure that your concerns are heard clearly within these walls. It's the greatest honor of my life to serve the families, workers, farmers, fishers, business owners, seniors, and young people who make our region strong. From Arberg to Ashern, from Hecla to Huslavik, from St. Laurent to St. Martin or Steep Rock, from Riverton to Winnipeg Beach, the people of Interlake Gimli are resilient, hardworking, and deeply proud of their communities. These are communities where generations have labored on farms, fished the waters of Lake Winnipeg and Lake Manitoba, run small businesses, taught in our schools, and built a vibrant rural Manitoba. Honorable Speaker, these are communities that know the value of hard work, the importance of family, and the strength of helping one another. You are the ones that have endured droughts, flooding, rising costs, and slow erosion of rural services. And yet, you continue to build, create, and contribute. You deserve a strong voice in this legislature, and it's my job to amplify your voice, to carry your priorities forward, and to advocate for the resources, respect, and attention that rural Manitoba has long deserved. I'm here because you placed your confidence in me, and I will never take that responsibility lightly.
Good job. Good job, Derek.
Your trust is sacred, and every decision I make in this House is guided by your best interests and your lived experiences. I rise today to address and speak to the reply to the speech of the throne, and in doing so, I rise on behalf of the people of Interlake Gimli and indeed on behalf of Manitobans across this province who expected a responsible, realistic throne speech rooted in honesty, transparency, and achievable commitments. Instead, Honorable Speaker, they were given a document filled with slogans, claims, recycled announcements, and the unmistakable theme that has come to define this government, and that is broken promises. This throne speech does not fix the challenges facing Manitoba. It does not map a path forward. It does not level with the public about the state of our finances, the strain on our healthcare systems, the pressure on our families, or the realities in rural regions. It is a speech designed to market, not lead. And so, Honorable Speaker, I will outline today why this throne speech fails Manitobans and why the amendment before this House, will soon be before this House, is not only justified but necessary. And so, Honorable Speaker, this government campaigned relentlessly on a commitment to balance the budget, not over multiple terms, not eventually, but within its first mandate. Yet, here we stand 2 years later, and the government has not balanced the budget and has not delivered a plan to balance that budget. It has not even demonstrated a serious intention to do so. Instead, the deficit has ballooned, borrowing has increased, debt servicing costs are rising, and the throne speech provides no credible roadmap to fiscal stability. We were paying $6 million a day in interest charges alone. That's a new arena in every single rural community each and every day. A new community, a community could get a new arena each and every day, just with the interest being paid on the debt. The failing NDP government is planning to spend less on emergency room overhaul in Eriksdale than what they waste on interest charges in one day. They're paying the interest on their provincial credit card. And the people of Eriksdale are not fooled by this failing NDP government. Although the emergency room overhaul is welcomed, they have no illusions that a new set of doors and a new paint job and a fancy desk is going to solve the staffing shortages. Once again, this failing NDP government take the people of Interlake Gimli as suckers. A government that makes promises it has no ability or intention to keep. It erodes its credibility. A government that hides the true state of the books erodes public trust. And a government that spends with no long-term plan jeopardizes future generations. Honourable Speaker, financial responsibility is not optional. It is a cornerstone of good governance. This government, this NDP government, is failing that test. Broken promises. Again, this is the theme under their throne speech. Number 2, fixing healthcare. Honourable Speaker, no promise was louder, repeated more times, or more central to this NDP's government's election campaign than the promise to fix healthcare. Yet, frontline workers, patients, and families see no evidence of that healthcare as being fixed or is even on the road to recovery. In Interlake Gimli, we know this all too well. Arberg's ER continues to face instability. Gimli's Community Health Centre remains overstretched and understaffed. Rural paramedic shortages persist. The long-promised Arberg Personal Care Home expansion remains stalled by this NDP government. The funding was put in place under the former PC government. It was 100% absolutely pulled back by this NDP health minister and the Premier of Manitoba. That decision had to cross not just the Treasury Board table, but it also had to cross the Cabinet table. The people of Arberg know this. Seniors could have been using this facility by now, but not under this failing NDP government. Seniors in Hecla, Riverton, Nassau, the Camp Morton struggle to access timely health care, and this problem persists across my entire constituency. The NDP government pulled a pilot project in Eriksdale and Ashern where healthcare professionals would come directly to your home for services that you need. You cannot get healthcare closer to home than in your home. That was all pulled back by this NDP government. Residents endure long drives for emergency care, specialist appointments, and diagnostic services. Honourable Speaker, the reality is simple. This government has not fixed health care. As a matter of fact, they have made it worse. It has not stabilized rural emergency services. It has not solved staffing shortages. And it has not provided Manitobans with the reliable access that they were promised. What it has done is repeat the word progress enough times that it hopes people will stop questioning what progress actually looks like. But families know the truth, nurses know the truth, seniors know the truth. Healthcare is not fixed, not in Interlake Gimli, and not anywhere in Manitoba. Affordability, another broken promise. The government claims that life has become more affordable. Honourable Speaker, families in Interlake Gimli would strongly disagree. Groceries are more expensive, fuel is more expensive, insurance is increasing, farm inputs like fertilizer and feed have skyrocketed, housing is less accessible, utility rates remain to climb under this failing NDP government, and the cost of doing business continues to rise. Affordability is not defined by government messaging. It is defined by the household budgets for real Manitobans. A government that claims affordability while families struggle more each month is a government that has lost touch with reality. Supporting rural Manitoba and Interlake Gimli, another broken promise. Honourable Speaker, this throne speech claims to support rural Manitoba, but in Interlake Gimli, we have seen the opposite. Drought relief that never arrived under that government. Producers from Arberg, Moosehorn, Veeder, Fraserwood, Poplarfield, and the entire Interlake is suffering through another year of drought and feed shortages. The government promised support. What did farmers receive instead? Were consultations and press statements. Honourable Speaker, farmers cannot grow crops with consultations. They cannot fill dugouts with talking points. They need action. Real action, timely action, and substantial action. Highway infrastructure in Interlake Gimli, neglected. Our main highways, 6, 7, 8, 9, remain among the most neglected routes in Manitoba. These are not minor roads. These are essential economic arteries. Tourists use them, commercial trucks rely on them, families depend on them every day. Yet the government's throne speech offered nothing for long-term rehabs of the roads. Commercial fishing ignored again. Honourable Speaker, Lake Winnipeg and Lake Manitoba supports one of the largest freshwater fisheries in North America. Yet, this government continues to ignore the concerns of commercial fishers in Gimli, Hecla, Riverton, Nassau, St. Lawrence, Steep Rock, and everywhere in between. Fishers face rising costs, quota instability, and inconsistent scientific communication. And yet, the government provides no meaningful commitments. Another broken promise. Tourism in Hecla, Gimli, and the Interlake, underfunded. Hecla, Gimli, Winnipeg Beach, and all surrounding communities rely heavily on tourism. But parks, benches, harbors, and campgrounds remain underfunded under this failing government. The throne speech claims to enhance tourism, yet provides no actual strategy or investment. Honourable Speaker, words do not build tourism infrastructure, funding does. Broken promise number 5, abandoning Hecla Provincial Park and cutting $220 million in park funding. Honourable Speaker, nowhere is this government's disregard for rural Manitoba more evident than its treatment of Manitoba's provincial parks, and especially Hecla Provincial Park, one of the crown jewels of the Interlake. The previous PC government committed to $220 million in capital funding for provincial parks province-wide, and the largest investment in Manitoba's parks network in history. This was real money for real projects to fix aging infrastructure, improve campgrounds, repair trails, restore park buildings, and upgrade essential roads. Honourable Speaker, one of the first acts the NDP government did was to cancel the $220 million investment. And by cutting that funding, they abandoned critical projects throughout Manitoba, but nowhere were their consequences more visible than the Hecla Provincial Park. The cancellation meant delayed upgrades to service buildings and washrooms, neglected campground improvements, aging water and wastewater systems left unfixed, deferred maintenance on trails and natural assets, lack of reinvestment in key visitor areas, lost opportunities for economic growth. And Hecla is a major tourism destination. It draws thousands each year, but instead of building on that strength, the government has chosen to neglect it. So, Honourable Speaker, the clearest symbol of this neglect in Hecla is the Hecla Village Road. This is the main artery for visitors, residents, businesses, and emergency services entering the village. And under the cancelled $220 million plan, this road was slated for upgrades. Those plans were eliminated under this NDP government, and that road continues to deteriorate today. So how can the government claim that to support tourism when it abandons the very infrastructure that allows people to access one of Manitoba's most iconic communities? Another broken promise, public safety. Honourable Speaker, this government claims that crime is down. Tell that to families in Gimli, Harburg, Winnipeg Beach, Riverton, and beyond, facing rising property crime, drug trafficking, break-ins, and vandalism. Rural RCMP detachments are stretched thin, response times are longer, and communities feel less safe. A throne speech that claims success while people feel increasingly vulnerable is not credible, and it is not leadership. Education. The government promised to support education, improve outcomes, and strengthen rural schools. What do we see? Staffing shortages, increase in wait times for assessments, EA vacancies, busing challenges, underfunded rural schools, declining literacy and numeracy scores. Our critic for education will give a fulsome debate on this, I'm sure. I will move on to the next broken promise. Honesty, transparency, and accountability. Another broken promise. Honorable Speaker, perhaps the most damaging broken promise is the promise of honesty. This government pledged to be transparent. It pledged to tell the truth, even when difficult. But the throne speech does not reflect honesty. It reflects marketing. It reflects an attempt to tell Manitobans that their lived experiences are wrong. It asks them to believe the government instead of believing their own eyes. It's not accountability. It's not transparency. And this is not a reasonable governance. A government that cannot speak honestly about its failures cannot be trusted to correct them. Manitobans deserve better. Honorable Speaker, the amendment that will soon be before this House is not merely symbolic, it is necessary. Because this government has made promises it has not kept. Promises it cannot keep. And promises it never intended to keep. Manitobans deserve a government that lives within its means, a government that strengthens rural health care, a government that supports farmers, fishers, and small businesses, a government that invests in provincial parks and rural tourism, and a government that fixes crumbling infrastructure, and a government that tells the truth. They deserve leadership, not slogans. Results, not rhetoric. Action, not excuses. And so, Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the people who have entrusted me from Interlake Gimli, and on behalf of Manitobans across this province who know they were promised more than they have received, I fully support this amendment that will shortly come forward. Well, it'll probably be tomorrow now as time is running short. So once again, I want to thank you, Interlake Gimli, for allowing me to bring your voice here. And these points were from you, the people of Interlake Gimli. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Lodge-Moutier.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. It's a real honour to stand here in this chamber and respond to the throne speech. The throne speech is all about laying out the vision and path forward for the next year. And yesterday, Manitobans got a clearer sense of how we'll achieve that vision. It's centred around strengthening healthcare. It's bold and full of possibility. Manitobans deserve that. They deserve a government that will stand up for them, see the potential in our collective commitment to our province, and be bold in what we think we can build together. 2 years ago, who would have imagined that Manitoba would be at the center of a multi-billion-dollar opportunity? Today, that vision is taking shape. A project of national importance with the potential to move Canadian goods to European markets through Churchill. And because Manitobans believe in reconciliation, something historic is happening in the People's Building. This isn't just about infrastructure, it's about building a future that lasts for generations. A major investment in Churchill will transform our economy, strengthen our sovereignty in the north, and create opportunities that ripple across the province. But we know there is no nation building without Indigenous nations. That's why we're doing this the right way, in true partnership with First Nations and the Red River Métis. Together, we will enshrine Canada's first Crown Indigenous corporation into law, ensuring shared decision-making and shared benefits. Ce n'est pas seulement une question d'infrastructure. Il s'agit de bâtir un avenir qui durera pour des générations. Un investissement majeur à Churchill transformera notre économie, renforcera notre souveraineté dans le Nord et créera des possibilités qui se feront sentir dans toute la province. Mais nous savons qu'il n'y a pas de construction nationale sans les nations autochtones. C'est pourquoi nous faisons les choses de la bonne manière, en véritable partenariat avec les Premières Nations et la nation métisse de la Rivière-Rouge. Ensemble, nous inscrirons dans la loi la première société de la couronne et des peuples autochtones au Canada, garantissant une prise de décision partagée et des retombées partagées. Working alongside the Major Projects Office and the Arctic Gateway Group, the Manitoba Crown Indigenous Corporation will lead the charge in building the strongest business and environmental case for a trade corridor to Churchill. This winter, we'll begin a feasibility study to expand the shipping season. If this project moves forward, it won't just change trade, it will change lives. Additional revenue will help fund all-weather roads, connecting isolated communities, and giving kids in the north the same opportunities as other kids in Manitoba. Churchill will become Canada's Arctic trade gateway, opening new routes for critical minerals, agricultural products, and energy to reach global markets. For too long, Manitoba's northern potential has been overlooked. This project changes that. It positions us as a leader in trade diversification and creates year-round economic activity in the north. And as we grow, we will protect what makes Churchill extraordinary. With funding to study a marine protected area, we'll safeguard belugas, polar bears, and the fragile northern ecosystem. We'll continue to protect Manitoba's land, air, and water, because economic growth and environmental stewardship must go hand in hand. This is reconciliation in action. This is nation building rooted in respect. With $262.5 million in joint investment, $175 million from the federal government, and $87.5 million from Manitoba, we're creating jobs, attracting private capital, and unlocking billions in future economic activity. Churchill is more than a port, it's a promise that Manitoba will lead with vision, partnership, and care for generations to come. We all know how foundational children's educational experiences are. We have many educators on this side of the House. So much growth and development happens in those early years, and our government is proud to make investments that support learners. We know we've hired 800 more teachers since we took office, and we continue to build the physical infrastructure to meet the needs of educators and students. We are building 4 more K-8 schools in Devonshire Park, Prairie Point, West St. Paul, and Brandon, under our first Manitoba Jobs Agreement with Manitoba Building Trades. These schools will not only serve growing communities, but also create good jobs for Manitobans. And with them come 402 new childcare spaces, ensuring families have the support they need right from the earliest years. Manitobans want timely, high-quality healthcare close to home, delivered by respected workers who have the support and tools they need. There's been a lot of good and important work that's been accomplished over the our first 2 years in government, hiring over 3,500 net new healthcare workers, including physicians, nurses, healthcare aides, allied health professionals, and midwives. Making contraceptives and PrEP free, expanding seats in post-secondary programs, reopening ERs, and an amazing amount of knee and hip surgeries in Selkirk. All of these examples are only possible because of the many frontline healthcare workers, our government ministers and their teams, public servants, and many institutions working together. Access to birthing supports and prenatal services close to home is such a vital part of the birthing experience. People giving birth should be able to have their support networks nearby, and geography shouldn't be a barrier. We are training and hiring more midwives, including in the Interlake for the first time, improving prenatal, birthing, and postpartum care, especially in communities that have waited too long for locally available services. We are also restoring birthing services to Norway House Cree Nation so that families can welcome new life in their own community and reduce costly, disruptive medical travel. Systems experience pressure points, and our healthcare system is no different. This throne speech lays out many ways in which our government is moving forward on addressing these pressure points in ERs, intensive care units, and even at your primary care provider through improving patient flow. We have reopened personal care home beds and are building new personal care homes in Arberg, Lac du Bonnet, and Transcona. We've extended our primary care clinics at the St. Boniface, Victoria, Concordia, and Grace hospitals. I'm very excited that we're expanding the scope of practice for pharmacists. This is something I've heard from my constituents and an important example of our government listening to professionals in their fields. They will be able to prescribe for common ailments, urinary tract infections, and contraception, including free birth control. This saves families time and money while reducing pressures on clinics and emergency rooms. We will also be introducing digital health cards and an online patient portal, making it possible to access your own health records virtually. Equally exciting, we are doing away with sick notes for short-term illnesses, freeing up physicians to spend more time caring for their patients rather than engaging in this outdated bureaucratic process. All these decisions accumulate and lead to a better patient experience, healthcare workers feeling better about the care they can provide, and a system that is better able to meet the needs of Manitobans. In January, our government will be opening a supervised consumption site. This project will save lives and it will reduce overdoses. It will act as a bridge to a variety of resources, connect people to care, and meet people where they're at, creating potential for care that wouldn't exist without government buy-in to a model of care that includes harm reduction. We are expanding detox beds at the Main Street project, creating a safe transition for people and streamlining access to housing with wraparound support. These are compassionate approaches that recognize addictions as a mental health issue and support people on the road to recovery. I want to thank the many people and organizations doing this work, this important frontline work. Your commitment to your community, building meaningful relationships of trust with our neighbors saves lives and creates cracks of possibility where there were once none. This throne speech is ultimately about possibility. That's important because people can often be told what can't be done, what's too hard or not worth striving for. Manitobans are worth fighting for, and it's incumbent on governments not to limit the talent, passion, and potential citizens contribute to their communities and professions. I can stand here 10 toes down to say pharmacists, physicians, frontline mental health workers, tradespeople, educators, Indigenous language learners, midwives, and so many others will be better equipped to contribute to their communities because of what's held within this throne speech. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable Member for La Vérendrye.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. As I rise today to respond to this government's throne speech, I want to begin by acknowledging what Manitobans rightfully expect when they hear a throne speech delivered on their behalf. They expect a real plan. They expect credible actions. They expect a roadmap for our economy, our communities, and our future. They expect leadership. What they don't expect, and what they certainly do not deserve, is a speech full of recycled announcements, vague intentions, lofty poetry, and political symbolism with almost no connection to real progress on the ground. Yet, Honourable Speaker, that is precisely what Manitobans received this week. This throne speech reads less like a governing plan and more like a campaign brochure. Less like a strategy and more like a storybook. And it confirms what Manitobans have learned after 2 full years of this NDP government. They are a government far better at announcing things than delivering them. Honourable Speaker, the first thing that struck me reading this throne speech was just how familiar things sounded. Not because it was bold or visionary, but because it was the same material they have been repeating now for years. This government congratulated itself again and again for things they said they would do. Last year, the year before, during the election, and in some cases, even before that. But where are the results? The pattern is always the same. Announce the promise, hold the press conference, take the photo, launch a study, repeat the announcement, and fail to deliver. It is governing by photo op, not by performance. Governing by symbolism, not by substance. Manitobans deserve more than that. They deserve competence. They deserve execution. They deserve a government capable of delivering results, not simply delivering speeches. Honourable Speaker, Manitobans' economy has slowed dramatically under this NDP government. And I want to speak plainly about what I'm hearing every single week from business owners, producers, processors, manufacturers, and investors in La Vérendrye and across our great province. They tell me private investment is fleeing. Value-added agriculture projects are choosing Saskatchewan and Alberta. Mining exploration has dropped significantly. The cost of doing business in Manitoba is rising. Red tape is growing thicker, not thinner. The approval system is slow, unpredictable, and frustrating. Manitoba is no longer competitive. And, Honourable Speaker, these are not isolated complaints. This is now widely understood across the private sector. In fact, one executive said to me, and I quote, "Why would we do business with a government that doesn't want to do business with us?" That is what this government needs to understand. Government does not create private sector jobs. Government does not build private sector investment. Businesses do that. And when businesses feel unwelcome, when government treats them like the enemy, they simply go elsewhere. This throne speech pretended everything is fine. But the truth is, Manitoba is being passed over again and again by projects worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Projects that could have added to our GDP, created jobs, increased exports, and grown our communities. Instead, companies are going west, east, and south because they can't make money in Manitoba, because the regulatory environment is chaotic, because the government does not understand business. And, Honourable Speaker, that is costing us dearly. Nowhere is the gap between rhetoric and reality more obvious than in this government's fixation on the Port of Churchill. Let me be absolutely clear. Revitalizing Churchill is a worthwhile goal. It is with real potential. It could be transformational if it were built on a foundation of real customers, real suppliers, real contracts, real shippers, real financing, and a
Order,
real
please.
federal.
When this matter is again before the House, the honourable member will have 14 minutes remaining. The hour being 5 o'clock, this House is adjourned and stands adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow. My mistake, stands adjourned until 1:30 tomorrow.